Hey, 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 back from vacation, ready for another one. Yeah, I know. It makes me want to buy lottery tickets. This is what my life could be like all the time. If only. Lifelong vacation.
TV. So.
I know. I'm so excited. Yes. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be summer of fun. Speaking of summer, you know
Yes.
what's happening this summer?
Cicadas?
Yes, there is another cicada brood. So if you all have stuck with us on this long journey and learned about cicadas back in episode 1 of this podcast, you'll know that there's two types. Well, there's lots of types of cicadas, but in terms of the periodic cicadas, 17-year broods and then 13-year broods. So this summer, a single 17-year brood is emerging. It's brood 14. Basically, you can expect this if you live in Kentucky. That's where the majority of brood 14 is. But also some parts of Southeast Indiana, some parts of Central Tennessee, around the Nashville area.
Further south, so brood 14's highly localized to the south, southern.
Yes, it looks like
states.
Around the Smoky Mountain Appalachian area of the Tennessee-North Carolina border a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not for me. I'll just be experiencing annual cicadas this year in Indianapolis. Then it sounds like.
Yeah, I think I'll be experiencing none because I think Maryland only has the brood.
Periodical. The periodic. It's much less exciting, like last year it was all exciting.
No, they were merging together.
Yes, all this cicada talk, multiple broods.
Mm-hmm.
And this year's kind of a wah-wah.
Unless you live in Kentucky, then it's gonna be crazy town.
Right? Cicada party.
Yep. Cicada party.
Yes.
There you go. So
Fingers crossed listeners, for cicada sightings.
Exactly. If you live in Kentucky or around Nashville or Smoky Mountains, cicadas. Cicadas for you.
Keep your ears open.
Mm-hmm. And your eyes so that they don't hit you in the face.
Yes. Maybe try stewing them up.
Yeah.
Taking a little taste.
Adding a little Old Bay. You never know.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to episode 1.
Right. Yeah, we're not just pulling this out of nowhere. Promise.
In case you were already concerned that we talk about too many food topics on this show, don't worry, cicadas, we talked about food as well.
Yes.
Cicadas as food.
True. It's true. I'm Katie.
And I'm Emily.
We're two long-distance best friends with a passion for learning about all the things that make everyday life interesting.
With my PhD in geography
and my master's in library science,
doing deep dives on topics is our idea of a fun time together. We'll share our findings with you on
Researching the Obvious. I don't think we're going to have any food in this episode, though.
No.
We are diving a little bit more into pop culture.
Yes.
Less food.
Yes. Because this episode, if you didn't get it from our title, is about the romantic comedy as a genre.
Yes.
When we were in college, it was like peak. Well, maybe not peak. Just post-peak.
Post-peak.
Post-peak rom-com season.
It's true. It's true. We had so many to choose from.
Yeah.
And I would say more often than not, that's probably the genre that we chose on our weekend movie nights.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Also, we had a video store.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my God, that's right.
Right? What was the name? I don't even remember the name of that video store.
But I don't either.
It was a rental store, and it was just like a local one. It wasn't
it was independently owned, not like Blockbuster or even a family video, just like local video rental.
Yeah, it was like Durham Video Exchange or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was right off campus. And so we could go and rent videos. And, we had a VCR in our dorm room because
Obviously.
I'm the oldest. Yeah. And then, we were able to watch DVDs on our computers that still
That's
had
right.
CD-ROMs.
Yes, the DVD went into the laptop. The laptop got connected to a monitor, which was
Correct.
roughly 16 inches and plenty big enough for us to watch a movie on together.
Yes. And then if we had to get a VHS, we could. And so because of that fact, the options for rom-coms were so many. We could get any from the 90s because they were all on VHS. And then any from the early 2000s. 80s. I'm pretty sure we watched a few 80s movies as well.
Yes.
For sure.
I think we probably both had DVDs that we had brought to college too.
Oh, yeah.
Our small DVD collection of like our most favorite movies. So
yes, because there was no streaming facilities.
Right. We had to carry those around physically to physically move them to college if we wanted to watch A Knight's Tale together.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Classic rom-com right there.
Yes.
Pride and Prejudice.
Oh my God.
Less calm, more rom. But we watched that one 80 million times.
Here
a little
and there.
bit of, oh yeah, for sure. Mr. Collins
and his potatoes. Yes, that's exactly. Because it's great.
What exemplary
potatoes.
Oh my God. We watched Pride and Prejudice a lot. But in fairness, I think it was released the year we went to college.
Yes, 2004. And it holds up. I still watch it today.
Are you kidding me?
I never get tired
nights
of
where
that.
I'm like, I just want to watch Pride and Prejudice and eat some greasy foods.
Yes. And I think Love Actually came out around that time too, which I remember.
Yes.
People were so obsessed with, like, it was like the pinnacle romantic comedy release that year that it was released.
I still watch that almost every year at Christmas time. Oh, yeah.
We do too at Christmas, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a classic.
Have you ever done the Love Actually drinking game?
I personally have not, but you have told me, and I think it sounds dangerous.
It is. Because you have to take a drink every time you see someone in a sweater, and let me tell you.
Wait,
number of turtlenecks.
Turtleneck.
Yeah, the turtleneck sweaters. It's a lot of them.
Okay.
It's a lot of them. I guess that's all we wore in 2003. Turtleneck sweaters.
They were super in.
Yeah.
I also was introduced to the first time in college to Sex and the City, which I think is one of the most iconic like rom-com series out there.
TV shows. Definitely. There were just so many options. Like, because you had all of the Julia Roberts ones from the late 80s, early 90s.
She was like putting out one a year.
Yeah. But then I feel like in the early 2000s, you had all the Kate Hudson ones.
Yeah.
But there was a ton of Kate Hudson ones, I feel like, that came out. And Katherine Heigl.
Yes. Meg Ryan, also 90s
Meg
into 2000s.
Yeah. I just remember we would get these like rom-coms and we'd have movie marathon nights and eat our, I don't know, we'd get like fast food or something. Pizza.
Yes.
Watch movies in our dorm. It's good times.
It was good times. And so many good movies.
I know.
And I'm convinced that this is not just nostalgia based. Like, there was legitimately a period of time where I think the rom-com reigned in terms of just like fun, easy to consume, easy to watch content that was feel good and enjoyable, and there's just something very satisfying about it.
Yes. We will get into that later, but you are not wrong in that assumption.
Yes.
I mean, some of it's nostalgia, obviously, but there was a period in time that was a very commonly produced genre of film, for sure. And it has declined recently on some level. Less declined and more morphed, I would say, than declined.
Yes. Evolved. We'll even say evolved. I realized this recently that I feel like there's just not as many of those those types of movies that I remember watching in the late 90s, early 2000s, into the mid 2000s. It's really just made me crave watching some of those old rom-coms. I love them. And you know what? Hour and a half.
Right?
I don't need to binge a whole season of something. I just need an hour and a half of my life to watch When Harry Met Sally, or watch How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or P.S. I Love You, or, you know, like, take your pick. Any Sandra Bullock movie. Literally any of them. Just sit down and watch and enjoy.
Because movies have also become so long.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a little nostalgic for the 90-minute film.
Yes. Yes. A nice 90-minute tied up nicely in those 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Agree. I literally, a couple weeks ago, watched 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes, I love that movie. I love that
movie
so much.
It holds up.
It does.
That's all I gotta say.
It's amazing. It's a classic. It is.
Yep.
And funny enough, that one in particular is based on a William Shakespeare play, The Taming of the Shrew, as are some other romantic comedies of that era, but also alludes to the fact that the romantic comedy is not a new phenomenon. It has been around for a long, long time.
Oh, as a genre?
As a genre, or in terms of the thematic elements, the tropes that are commonly used in those stories. And they have origins in literature and drama all the way back to ancient Greece.
Oh, really? That old?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, tell me more.
Yes. So, now I will say, back in ancient Greece, you weren't having like the typical rom-com as we think of it today. But generally speaking, the romantic comedy evolved out of a few different types of things. One of them being the ancient Greek comedy, which was one of three of the principal dramatic forms that was used in ancient Greek. So that's number one, the ancient Greek comedy, the medieval romance, and the restoration comedy. This is a little literature and play lesson for you.
Well, I mean, film stories have to come from somewhere, right? So
yes, exactly. So even before filmmaking was a big thing, these kinds of stories were popular and definitely being created for public consumption. So the ancient Greek comedy, it has a few things that have played into like modern romantic comedies now.
Okay.
They're known for having happy endings as well as comically exaggerated characters, or like kind of stereotypical type characters that recurred multiple times in these different plays.
The tropey sort of aspect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Aristotle wrote about Greek comedy that it's a representation of laughable people and involves some kind of blunder or ugliness which does not cause pain or disaster.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're talking about in terms of a drama, you have your tragedy. So that might be something that's like a lot more severe. Something's happening that's really devastating.
Right.
But the comedy is just enough mishaps to be funny, and then also comes back around to a happy ending so that everything's okay. So it's lighter.
So it's sort of like the opposite of a tragedy on some level.
Yes, very much so. And then also the Greek comedies were a vehicle for political satire. So they used to cloak some of their political commentary in these funny, supposedly light stories that had this comedic edge to it. But there was actually some pretty serious like political satire going on underneath it, or some political opinions being expressed. So Greek comedies can roughly be divided into three more categories: old, middle, and new. Old comedies were very much known for that political satire, as well as sexual and scatological innuendo, also known as poop jokes.
Scatological?
Yes. Scatological
That's
innuendo.
a word?
It sure is, and I had to look it up to make sure I knew what.
Scatological. They didn't want to say poopological?
Yes.
Scatological.
Yes. Scatological innuendo, aka poop jokes, as old as ancient Greece. There you go.
We've been making poop jokes since time immemorial.
That's right. Okay. And then in the old comedies, they also were notorious for portraying and making fun of public individuals. So there were plays that portrayed Socrates or other famous people of that time and kind of poked fun at them, made fun of them.
Okay.
So that was the old comedy. The middle comedy was just kind of the in-between as they transitioned into new. There was less of that personal and political satire. And then there were more of the stock characters that were introduced. So those recurring characters that you saw, multiple times, revelers, philosophers, soldiers, and conceited cooks was one on the list. I don't know.
No.
Apparently cooks were very conceited.
Okay, hang on
holds
though.
Up.
Yeah, I was going to say time out because I feel like that is a recurring character still.
It is.
I'm literally thinking of the Little Mermaid with the cook that tries to cook Sebastian.
Yes. My God, you're right. Yes.
That is that figure, right?
Yep. It sure is. It sure is. You are correct.
Wow. What an old trope. A conceited.
Yes. That was one of the characters that they listed when I was reading about middle comedy in ancient Greece.
All right.
So then we transition out of middle comedy into the new comedy in ancient Greece. So it's still old, right? But new comedy for ancient Greece, this is kind of how it evolved in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the writings began to reflect more everyday life situations instead of the political stuff. More stereotypical characters introduced. They listed off braggarts, permissive father figures, stern father figures, young lovers, kind-hearted prostitutes, and cunning servants, which again, I feel like still is used today.
Those are still definitely common figures. I can think of examples of all of those from different stories or films or anything.
Yes.
10 Things I Hate About You, stern father figure.
Exactly. I mean, seriously. So the ancient Greek comedies really also informed the Restoration comedies, which came later and are also influences of the romantic comedy genre. The other piece of that is the medieval romance, which is also known as the chivalric romance. So this would be your typical, what you would think of when you think of medieval romantic stories, right? There's a knight, there's a maiden, there's courtly love. There's this high emphasis on the court, the social rules of the court, right? So everything is very proper and constrained. There's heroic adventures. There's a quest. There might be some supernatural or fantastic elements, like a knight might have to battle something in order to win the love or earn the love of the maiden.
Okay. So we're talking like King Arthur.
Yes, absolutely. That is the iconic medieval romance.
Okay.
Yes.
And obviously A Knight's Tale. That clearly just came from that.
Literally the medieval romance in our modern era. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly that.
Okay.
So yeah, Le Morte Arthur, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, there's, the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, Lancelot and Guinevere, that's medieval romance, right? So you take that, you take medieval romance, you take some Greek comedy, which then informs Restoration comedy. The Restoration comedy is also called a comedy of manners, so you might have heard it referred to as that. But this kind of comedy was actually known for being immoral and sexually explicit, and was often referred to as being improper or obscene. So it was taking some of those Greek comedy elements and then making them even more absurdist and dirty.
Back to the scatological innuendo.
Yes, right? So the Restoration comedy was known for witty dialogue, some social satire, and criticism. So again, calling back to some of those Greek comedy themes as well. Sexual innuendos and double entendres. Gotta love those. Again, stock characters or archetypal characters, but they tended to be instead of the medieval romance of knights, maidens, heroes, villains, those kind of things. they listed out fops, rakes, and coquettes. So for those not familiar with Middle English, that would be like a fop is someone who's very concerned with their appearance and kind of self-centered and also sometimes like flamboyant in their presentation of themselves. Rakes would be like the scoundrel, the the man who gets around town and goes seduces all the women.
Yeah, I'd say the one all the women want.
Yes, yes. Gaston is a perfect rake. And then the coquettes being like the flirtatious female characters that are kind of, the love interest, but also a little bit more free in their affections.
So you got the metrosexuals.
Yes.
You got the playboys.
Yes.
And you got the flirts.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. Got it.
Yes, thank you for summing that up. So those were kind of the iconic characters in a restoration comedy. There was also more of an emphasis on like getting married and the whole courtship process. So a lot of it was like commentary on marriage and whatnot. So I was not super familiar with restoration comedies or comedy of manners. It's something I'd heard before, but I couldn't really tell you what I thought an example would be. So I read about this example called The Country Wife. And this, to me, read kind of like a romantic comedy today.
Okay.
This is kind of the same basic idea. So the interesting thing about The Country Wife, it has 3 different plots that are kind of like loosely intertwined. So this was also something that was popular in restoration comedies. There's multiple plots going on with multiple characters that all kind of come together in the end to get tied up. So in The Country Wife, the main man spreads a rumor that he is impotent so that he can attempt to seduce and sleep with as many women as possible.
That's right.
Because, that's, yes, I mean, like, that makes sense. And he's successful in this because all of the husbands are off guard because they're just like, oh, he's impotent. He can't even do anything, right? So, like, they leave him alone with their wives. And
oh, wow.
I know, right?
So
scandalous.
Open. Okay.
I know. Yes. That's what I'm saying. The restoration comedy, they did kind of enter that field of being inappropriate, especially considering the expectations of that time. Right?
Right. Because we're talking like 1600s, right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
That's right. 1660 to 1710 is about where this came about. He spreads this rumor that he's impotent, he's going to sleep with all these women, and he's doing a really good job at it. Meanwhile, there's a married couple where the wife is kind of young and naive and marries this older man, and he's kind of hoping that because she's young and naive, like, she won't go out and like cheat on him or like, do anything because she's basically sexually naive.
Right. Okay.
And so he thinks that's going to be a safe bet for him in terms of keeping a wife faithful.
Sure. The less experience, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. So this young naive woman actually has this encounter with the main rakish character who's going around and sleeping with all this women, kind of like opens up her knowledge of this realm. And so then she becomes kind of the opposite of that young, naive, like,
this
kind
is
of
feeling
reserved.
this is feeling very Rocky Horror Picture Show,
right?
At the moment,
yes, yeah, corruption of the innocent. But then it turns around, and so she ends up becoming very outspoken to her husband about all of her desires and needs, and she's attracted to all the handsome men in town, and she's kind of, she's become a little slutty. She's having this little awakening. So that's going on. And in particular, oh, by the way, she has a desire and admiration for the town rakes and theater actors. So I'm sure that was a nod to the theater companies at the time. And then the third plot line that's going on is there's a courtship between this witty man and this woman from the upper class. And she is engaged to a man who is actually only after her money and ends up breaking away from him and then getting together with this guy. And these three stories are intertwined in that this upper class woman is like the sister of the lady who's married to. It gets very complicated.
Yeah,
the point
it's
is
sounding very Love Actually, where you have to like map it out, and who knows who.
It really is, because these three stories are tangentially related because some of the characters know each other, right? But it's three different love stories, essentially, or three different comedic love stories. And these different perspectives of this man who's being promiscuous and is out to put notches on his belt. This married couple that the woman is young and naive, but has this awakening and kind of backfires on her husband, who thought that he was going to be able to keep her contained and in control. And the third one, where this woman is engaged to this man who ends up being just after her money, and real love develops with this other guy who's, they have these witty exchanges and a meeting of the minds. Right? Okay, but that's like an old restoration
that feels
comedy
like
play.
Pride and Prejudice, that storyline.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the point being that this restoration comedy era really informed a lot of the writing that would then come and really develop the romantic comedy genre with Shakespeare and Jane Austen and other writers of that time. It got toned down quite a bit. There was a lot of backlash to the dirtiness or the inappropriateness of the restoration comedy.
Backlash to the scatological innuendo.
Yes, yeah. They decided that wasn't that funny anymore. They didn't want that. The Victorians were like, button it up, people.
Yeah.
Button it up.
I mean, the Victorians were wearing veils for a year after their husband died, so
that's right.
They're not talking about poop.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, and there are some other examples too. I won't go through all of them, but I just thought it was really fun to read about this old 1660s play that to me reads very much like a plot of it. Pick a romantic comedy. There's some of the same kind of themes or exploration of relationships in that same way. I almost
feel like they could remake that today and it would 100%. Be fine.
Yes,
right.
Agree.
Because I'm even thinking like the dude that's going around spreading this innuendo. What was that movie? Don Juan? Was that the?
Yes.
Like that's very similar to that with Scarlett Johansson, I think.
Yes.
That
that's right. Yeah. Yep. I had forgotten about that one. Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Weird.
So anyway, and then we move a little bit more forward in time. And like I said, Shakespeare and Jane Austen, I think, are two of the examples that come up the most. Shakespeare in particular for romantic comedy, because he really did solidify the genre in a very popular way, like a well-known popular way.
Mm-hmm.
And so some classic examples there, if you're not a big Shakespeare person, Much Ado About Nothing. So that play is basically about two former lovers who say they can't stand each other, but then at the end they end up together. And they have all of these witty back and forths, and it's enemies to lovers, basically. That's the trope.
That movie that just came out like 2 years ago, Anyone But You.
Yes.
With Sydney Sweeney. That's Much Ado About Nothing.
That's Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, Much Ado About Nothing, that's like the classic rom-com. And like you said, the Anyone But You is basically the same story. Twelfth Night is actually a hidden identity. So think Made in Manhattan or While You Were Sleeping, or even She's the Man with Amanda Bynes.
I love She's.
Yes. Yes.
Good.
So in Twelfth Night, one of the main characters, Viola, dresses up as a man, and this gives her perspective or insight into what's going on in that world. And then there's a romance story as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what's that other one? Shakespeare in Love? Isn't that?
Yes. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yep. Very similar. And then A Midsummer's Night's Dream, that one is a little bit of wackiness, a little bit of, I don't want to say comedy of errors as much as mischievous. It's like mischievous love stories, right? So like the main character, Pan, is messing with all of these lovers. He like gives a love potion to one of them who ends up falling in love with someone they're not supposed to fall in love with. And it's kind of this, one thing after the other happening But in the end, everything works out okay, and the couples get together as they should, kind of thing. The Midsummer's Night Dream has a little bit more mischief in it, and just a little bit more, I would even say, interference from other, like, outside forces in the love stories.
Okay.
Which is also pretty on track with some romantic comedies of today. Yeah. So some of the tropes that we're talking about, so like the mistaken identity, either role reversals or gender roles are reversed, or like I said, like disguised people, twins that are mistaken for one another. I know that's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
And, and then like misunderstandings that as a result of this then create the comedic effect in the love story.
Yeah. Miscommunication is pretty
key.
Standard.
Yes, that's key to any love story. He used a lot of wordplay, so there's like a lot of witty repartee between the characters, a lot of back and forth, malapropisms, which if you listen to our phrase episode, you'll know what that is. Puns and double entendres, again, not quite as dirty as like the Restoration comedy stuff, but William Shakespeare would, slip some of that stuff in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And then marriage as the resolution, so the happy ending and characters getting together and getting married after overcoming other obstacles, whatever those might be. And also very commonly festive atmospheres in the final scene. So like the party at the wedding, or like everybody gets together and they're happy and people are celebrating and all is well in the world, and you have closure and you have very satisfying ending. That was very, very much in Shakespeare's romantic comedies.
Okay.
And then Jane Austen, I won't go into super detail about all of these, but again, similar tropes, and you can see these across all of her novels. Emma is the classic friends to lovers scenario. If you've seen Clueless, that is Emma. Right. So she's trying to set up two other people and then ends up falling in love with the person that she knows.
I guess My Best Friend's Wedding is sort of like a twist of this.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit.
Agreed.
Right? I mean, doesn't end in the satisfactory way.
Right.
But.
And also, it's funny, like, I think I saw a social media post about My Best Friend's Wedding the other day. And that really is a disturbing...
It's that's a weird film.
I know it's meant to be comical, but, like, the stuff that she does is very
Hinged.
toxic.
Oh, unhinged.
Unhinged.
Oh, yeah. Unhinged.
Totally toxic. Totally crazy.
Yes.
And you're just like, it's all for love.
It's like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the TV show, though.
Yes.
Like, unhinged.
Yes.
Yeah. Unhinged.
Yep. Like, way outside of the appropriate level, even for a romantic comedy.
Yes.
You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice, which we were talking about earlier, that's a classic enemies to lover, right? And also kind of like a mistaken perspective of a person that you then end up falling in love with.
Right.
Persuasion is about redemption or a second chance at love. That's also one that has a trope that has endured for a long time. Northanger Abbey, I did not realize this, but Jane Austen wrote that as a parody of the Gothic romance. So she took some of the Gothic romance elements and created Northanger Abbey, but that is actually a story of a mistaken identity where the main character is supposed to be, people think she's someone that she's not, and then she goes
after is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes, Cinderella. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So she goes to stay at Northanger Abbey, and there's all this like mystery and like locked doors and things like that, and then the moody Lord of the Abbey or whatever, that's where the romance comes in. So
yummy.
Right? I know. I love it. It works, and it continues to work.
Yeah.
And I think these are all just examples of that in a very old literary tradition. So we're not even to a point where we're talking about films yet. And even just in popular plays and books that people were reading, these are the kinds of stories that they liked to see and read.
Hey, Katie, remember that time that we wanted to start a podcast based on all of our random research conversations?
Yeah, and we had no idea what we were doing or how we would even make a podcast.
Yeah, that's the time. It was a really good thing we found Podbean, because that made it super easy to upload all of our episodes to multiple streaming platforms.
Podbean is a really simple platform for hosting and publishing your podcast.
So, if you and your best friend are having random conversations that you think should be a podcast, check out Podbean.
And if you do, use our link to get a month free. Podbean.com/obvious. That's PODBEAN.com/obvious.
And become super cool podcasters like us.
World famous.
It's so funny listening to some of that because I looked into how all of these tropes got into film.
Yes.
And so much of it is tied into these like early themes of like how we developed stories as humans.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the themes, even back in the ancient Greeks, you can still see in film today, especially in rom-com. I know we've been talking a lot about the rom-coms of like the 90s and the early 2000s, but
Mm-hmm.
in film, the romantic comedy genre goes back all the way to the beginning of film as a genre. The first genre of rom-coms, they didn't call them rom-coms back in the day, but in the 1930s and 40s, they were called screwball comedies.
Mm.
And so screwball comedies, this is like a subgenre of romantic films, basically. And they really gained popularity in the Great Depression. And what I think is really interesting about them is that it is similar to what you were talking about with the ancient Greek comedy genres, is that they were very satirical.
Mm.
And so the goal of these was to satirize the modern romance. And so in the 1930s, we learned about this a little bit. We were talking about Nancy Drew. There was this shift where women were starting to take on jobs outside of the home. And you had the growth of like flapper culture, where women were becoming a lot more independent. And so prior to this, you had more of stereotypical gender roles, men working outside the home, women being domestic. But in the 1930s, with that shift in society, the screwball comedy kind of jumped on that, and it sort of flipped modern romances, where it was putting women in a more dominant role in the film and often challenging the male character's masculinity a little bit, or engaging in a battle of the sexes kind of thing in a humorous way. So I feel like we still see that trope in
for sure.
some of the 2000s romantic comedies, but it is sort of this like battle of the sexes kind of thing. Or it could have been like a clash of social classes too. So that's kind of what the Restoration comedies were like that too, where it's kind of
class tension. Yeah,
the social classes a little bit. Fun fact, the name screwball comedies does get its name from the screwball pitch in baseball, because the screwball pitch is to move in an opposite or fast pitched like fashion. And so they would be these sort of witty banter, fast paced films that were in opposition to society in some way. But so classic screwball comedies, you'd probably know some of these. It's basically Katharine Hepburn films. So Bringing Up Baby is cited as like the classic screwball comedy. Cary Grant films, like his films, are generally considered to be screwball comedies. The original Mr. and Mrs. Smith that was made back. Yeah, that is a screwball comedy. But these were really in demand as films during the Great Depression because people wanted like an escapist type of film, and the social class critique was really valuable, and they were also seen as hopeful in a time that was pretty rough. The other interesting thing about these movies is that they also featured a lot of innuendo.
Uh-huh.
And it was because at the time, there was something known as the Hays Code, so Hays. And the Hays Code was basically a list of things that the film industry said should not be in films. So it was things that you shouldn't put in films or things that you should be careful about putting in films so that they didn't get censored. Because this was before we had film ratings. We didn't have PG and rated R. So things that you should not put in films included very specific profanity, suggestive nudity,
Hey, yes.
illegal drugs, slavery, but specifically white slavery. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So we got to be
black slavery is
specific
fine,
about that.
I guess.
Right.
Sex hygiene and venereal diseases, scenes of childbirth, ridicule of clergy, right? These were things that you could not
Right.
do in a film. And then there was a whole list of things that you should be careful about doing, which included all sorts of things like the use of the flag, arson, firearms, smuggling, branding of people or animals, first night scenes. So very be careful. Men and women in bed together. That went against the Hays Code. So ways that
Emily.
these
So you know what's crazy? That
What?
reminds me of, so when I was reading about restoration comedies,
Yeah.
there was literally a document and a group formed called the Society for the Reformation of Manners. And this was part of the
What?
backlash to the more obscene restoration comedies. And it aimed to suppress profanity, immorality, and other lewd activities in general. And that was part of the reason that the restoration comedy kind of went downhill.
Was comedy of manners?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes. So same thing, same story, just like a little
Wow.
bit before this. Anyway.
Yeah, and this was put out by the Motion Picture Association of America.
Right.
So it's similar.
Right. Yeah. Timeless
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
But then like these screwball comedies kind of did the same thing where they sort of did stuff to subvert the Hays Code.
Cloaked it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they cloaked it in other things, and so that's why there was a lot of Battle of the Sexes and other tension, because that's stuff they could show as opposed to actual like intimacy.
Right, they could get away with it.
You couldn't really show that.
Yeah. Couldn't get shut down for that.
Exactly. But we see influence of these screwball comedies in later romantic comedies. So like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is a really good example. Bridget Jones, all the class issues and things like that. 2 Weeks Notice.
Oh, I love 2 Weeks Notice. Sandra Bullock.
Right. Like, so similar, like kind of thing. You've Got Mail. This screwball comedy genre, though, it started to diminish in the 50s and it basically disappeared in the 1960s because during the 1960s there was a shift in demand for more post-war serious type of films. So I guess the world got better or something, and so we didn't need as much escapism. We could shift to serious drama.
Yes, interesting. Okay.
And then in the 90s, really starting in the 80s is really when it started, is what I think a lot of people think of when they think of the classic rom-com film, but they're really known as neo-romantic comedies. So basically in the 90s, these movies became pretty commonly produced because they were fairly easy, following a similar script, when it had a lot of the same tropes that we've been seeing for a long time, and the budgets were middle budgets. Small. Yeah, relatively small and easy to make. And at the time in the 90s, we didn't have streaming. It took a while for things to get released on video.
Yeah.
And so, you might go to the movies fairly frequently, and rom-coms were generally seeking wide appealing film that people would go and see. So the films in the 90s, I think one of the reasons why we get fairly nostalgic about that is because they do a really good job of portraying romance tropes. I read this article from a literature professor where he basically says that the preservation of long-loved tropes ensures that classic stories of romance and romantic fiction remain somewhat uniform, and the 90s did a really good job of that. And so you see like all those same tropes that you would find in Shakespeare and everything.
Yeah, they really did. They exemplify. Because as I was reading through the literary piece of this, I was just like, all of the examples of this are really concentrated in the 90s and the 2000s, in that little pocket of time where those were such popular movies.
Yeah. And you also see too, starting in the mid like 2000s, so like 2005, 2006, you also see a surge in, they call them bromantic comedies. Where it's a romantic comedy, but not necessarily in the stereotypical guy meets girl sort of way. It's more about two dudes being friends.
Yeah.
So classic examples of that would be like The Hangover.
Yes.
Is a bromantic
I love
comedy.
You, man. That's my favorite.
I Love You, man. Wedding Crashers is 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yep.
In the early 2000s too, where it was trying to appeal also to men and others to get to go see these films.
Yeah. Or let's be real, couples too. When you think of the most iconic 90s 2000 romantic comedy, what movie pops into your head?
Pretty Woman.
Okay, that's a good one. That also has all of our classic tropes in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the class thing. Yeah, the friendly prostitute or whatever.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, wait, the scene with the snails, does it have like a presumptuous chef or whatever?
Conceited chef.
Chef.
There are some conceited waiters in that scene.
Yes.
And a little bit of the mistaken identity trope, too, because she's pretending to be someone that she is not when he takes her to all those events and stuff. And then, of course, the happy ending, right? That's like basically the fairy tale ending.
Yeah. And the chivalrous stuff, because there's the whole thing about joking about him riding up on the white horse, and he rides up in the limo and like...
Yep, it takes some of that medieval romance element to it, modernizes it a little bit. That's a great example. I think the one that always sticks out in my head, or that always pops into my head, is When Harry Met Sally. I feel like that one is just one that people talk about all the time, and also was one that I always really enjoyed. And that one's a friends to lovers classic.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the friends to lovers thing.
Witty repartee, back and forth.
A little bit of the battle of the sexes. She's a more dominant figure.
Yes.
Challenges his masculinity a little bit.
Yes. Yep. There's a little pushback. And then they end up together at the end.
Yeah.
In a big romantic celebratory fashion.
Yes. Right.
And there's the two best friends who also end up together, which is another thing that happens. Carrie Fisher and
the side characters.
Bruno Kirby. They end up they're kind of sassy and like, witty and sardonic, and then they end up together too.
That also makes me think of, so a little bit later in the 2000s, but I also always think of 27 Dresses.
Yes.
But the side characters also end up together in that one.
Yep. You got to have the sidekicks, the best friend, the male and the female best friend. A little subplot, just like that play that I was describing
The Country
earlier.
Wife.
Yes. Yeah, where it's kind of like multiple little stories going on.
I know. And you're at the end, you're always like, oh, I mean, I'm happy for the main characters, but the side ones are so cute.
I know. I'm so glad that they got together.
Yeah.
They had 10 minutes of screen time in this whole thing.
Right, but I'm so happy for that.
I'm attached to them as like fully formed characters.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I was thinking about that with 10 Things I Hate About You too, where the two side characters have the weird like William Shakespeare obsession, and he goes to prom with her dressed up as William Shakespeare.
Yes, that's so great. I forgot about that. There's the side characters that get together in that one too.
Yeah, the nod to Taming of the Shrew there.
Yes.
But the thing that always kind of makes me a little curious is that since this is such an established genre, why people don't really take these seriously.
Right?
As films. They sort of dismiss them as these like fluff.
Right. Guilty
films.
Pleasure, too.
Yes.
I've heard like that term. Oh, you shouldn't be watching that, but you watch it because you like it, but it's lowbrow or somehow less than.
Right. Or like even referring to them as chick flicks.
Yes.
As just like, that's just a little movie for women.
And they're silly ideas.
Right. And what's interesting is I was reading about this, and a lot of quote unquote chick flick films deal with really heavy topics like abortion, loneliness, self-discovery, career choices, self-acceptance, ambition, grief, homophobia, women's rights. You could probably think of examples of those exact themes being explored in rom-coms, to be honest.
Class commentary, too.
Still. Yeah. And maybe they do it in a lighthearted way. Right. Bridget Jones, the whole thing's about career ambition and what it means for her to be coming into her own, or even like Dirty Dancing. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That deals with some heavy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's
with
like
abortion
a coming
and
of
everything
age.
else.
Yeah. A loss of innocence. And on that note too, it's funny because I was talking to my sister earlier and I told her we were going to be talking about rom-coms. And she was like, oh, I love that topic. And she's like, one of the things that I will always remember is she was going through a really, really horrible breakup at one time. I handed her the Sex and the City DVDs that I owned. And I was like, you need to watch these. Like, just watch all of them. I was like, it's light and it's fun, but it'll make you feel better. I promise. And she had no interest in it. She was just like, why does my sister want me to watch these things? But she watched them and she was like, you know what? It did make me feel better. Because it was all of these stories of these different women overcoming obstacles in relationships, trying to understand themselves better, trying to understand their relationships better, making hard decisions, getting back up on their feet after being devastated by love and things like that. And I think it's so funny that people sometimes look down their nose a little bit at stories like that, or shows or movies like that, as being, like you said, fluff or not really substantive in any way. But they deal with a lot of real issues that are very relatable and I think timeless in a lot of ways, because I think we've seen that just from looking at the history of this, that like, this is like part of the human condition, so to speak. And these stories are talking about it in a way that's fun and accessible, but also can be very serious and really strike a chord with people and their own experiences.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is these are portrayed this way, but the reality is that plenty of rom-coms have been nominated for and won Oscars. So rom-coms that have won Oscars include Roman Holiday, Jerry Maguire, As Good as It Gets, Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh, I love that one.
Shakespeare in Love. We talked about that one earlier.
Yes.
Juno was, right? What is even more interesting is I looked even deeper into this Oscar winning films that are rom-coms. So some background. The Oscars started in 1929. So they've been going a long time. Only 3 films from 1929 until now. There's only been 3 individual films that have swept what they call the Big Five. So it means that they won Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay.
Okay.
So those 5 categories, there's only been 3 films in the history of film that have won all 5 of those categories. And one of them was a rom-com.
What was it?
It Happened One Night, which is a 1934 screwball comedy. It's one of the original screwball comedies that starred Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. And it was one of the films that defined the genre. And it's also considered to be one of the best movies of all time.
Wow.
Yeah. There's also been only 4 other movies that were one shy of the big five. So they won 4
Okay.
of the 5. And one of those 4 was also a screwball comedy. It was Annie Hall. These movies, for whatever reason, are getting dismissed, but they're also very cemented in film history as being considered some of the best films. It's really hard to win all 5 of these because you obviously have to be nominated in all 5 categories. Do you know what the last film was that was nominated in all 5 categories?
Titanic?
No.
Oh, what?
More recent. But it was a rom-com because it was La La Land.
Okay.
Which La La Land is like musical romantic comedy.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the last one to be nominated in all 5. And then the Oscars this year. So the film that won in 2025, it was nominated in 4 of the big 5 categories. It won all 4 of those. And it was Anora, which is technically a rom-com.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to put it on my list.
It's a dark rom-com. Let's put it that way. It's definitely a modern rom-com, but it's in a similar, not to give anything away, it's in a similar vein as Pretty Woman. Okay. For sure.
Okay.
For sure. But it won for Best Screenplay, Best Picture, Best Actress, and Best Director this year. So it's like these movies, for whatever reason, maybe because they're low budget, because they're not big blockbuster films or whatever, they're getting discounted when in reality, like you said, they're about the human condition, and they are also acknowledged as,
and they're very popular
films.
This is the thing that doesn't jive with me, as when I think of quote unquote chick flicks or rom-coms or these things that people might consider on a lower tier than maybe some other masterpieces. Like
it's not Christopher Nolan.
Right.
You know. It's no Dunkirk, but you know.
But I mean, they're also insanely popular, or they were at the time that they came out. And I think that they've held up over time, and that people still talk about When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle and Pretty Woman, and that they're kind of iconic pieces in film history, and yet people treat them like they're just dumb or something, or like that they're meaningless, or that they just don't have like a lot of substance to them. And I really think the opposite is true. I mean, are some of them crazy and silly and like have elements in them that are, you know, reasonable suspension of disbelief. Yes, we all need this when we're watching a romantic comedy. But
and not all of them are successful. Just like not all films are successful, right? Like I don't know. Some of these recent Jurassic Park films, I'm like, really? That was the choice? Like, okay. Like, not all films are successful. Not all books are successful, and it's fine. But to discount an entire genre is kind of lame. I did look at why we aren't seeing as many today. It like
because I do feel like there's a hole. There's a hole in my heart for the old romantic comedies, and why aren't we having some modern ones that are filling that gap?
I'll start with the sad reasons why, and then I'll switch to the hopeful reasons why. Okay. It'll be very rom-com-y. It'll end on hope.
Ooh, I like that. We'll overcome this obstacle and have a happy ending.
So the sad parts, number one, is that today, with the way the movie industry is mid-budget movies are not as likely to get picked up by major studios. So major studios are focusing on these big blockbusters that are going to appeal to wide global markets and are going to make a lot more money because less people are going to the theater. And so they want to maximize the amount of money that they're going to make on a film if they're going to send it to the theater. Also, movies with large action scenes generally have less dialogue and so require less dubbing and other stuff to be able to release on a global scale.
Interesting.
Right? Why are there 8 Transformers movies? Oh, it's because they're very easy to translate into a global
other languages
market. Yeah.
I also read or have heard that part of that too is that in the past, in the 80s and 90s, even if a movie didn't make a ton of money in the box office, they had DVD and VHS sales that would often make up the difference. And so something that maybe
Yes.
didn't do so well in the theater could be a big hit when it comes out on DVD or VHS, or like regain some popularity. And now that's not really happening.
Yeah, exactly. Because maybe a streaming service will buy the rights to it, and that's that.
Right.
Also, culture norms shift over time, as we know. And today, a lot of people are seeing some of these tropes from the 90s as a little more problematic. If we think about some of these classic rom-coms that we're talking about that are still good movies, but they are very white. They're very heteronormative.
Right.
And so people are maybe rightfully a little bit calling that out and being like, okay, but we can have other characters, we can have other ways of expressing gender and identity and stuff that aren't necessarily being shown in the classic tropes of the 90s. We do see that shifting though, right? Like Crazy Rich Asians. Crazy Rich Asians is a great example of how to modernize these kinds of classic rom-com tropes.
For me, it's just important to keep in mind too that when you're watching one of those movies from that time, it's a reflection of that time period, right? Yeah. And the time period now is different. So like, a lot of things have changed.
So it should, yes.
Yeah.
But what someone was saying too is that it's a little difficult in some ways to be a reflection of our current time and also be a rom-com, because today we can't have a film without featuring in things like social media and cell phones and other aspects of contemporary society, which make certain tropes inevitably a little bit more challenging. So things like miscommunication, not as easy to replicate when you have communication like we do today.
Right.
It's just a little more challenging to replicate some of that stuff. Also, movies that are in essence rom-coms, but maybe don't fit the stereotypical definition, often get labeled as something else, like sci-fi or something like that. So if you think of, for example, the movie Her.
Oh, yes.
Is a rom-com.
Is it comedy, though?
But did it get labeled as that?
Yeah. That one to me is like a cautionary tale.
Well, I guess it depends on how you think about technology.
Yeah, I'm pretty scared of it.
But
I get what you're saying, yes. There are rom-com
like it
elements
might get labeled as something else if it isn't fitting like this narrow definition. Because they're trying to use these old tropes in new ways that fit today's cultural norms, but then people aren't necessarily defining it as a rom-com. The era of streaming, it's also created so much content. We just are so overwhelmed by the amount of content that is being created and is available to us that it's difficult for any movie to break through the noise unless it's unique.
Yeah.
So unique could be that it's a huge, big budget blockbuster, or it could just be that it has a unique take on something like, I would say, Nora has that unique twist. Because, for example, did you know in 2023, there were over 30 rom-coms that were released that year?
What?
Yeah.
But where? I mean, this is the other problem is you're right. There's so much noise. It used to be we would rent a video on Friday night and then see the previews on that video and be like, ooh, there's some other movies that I could check out too. And now I feel like I have to Google, like, what are the rom-coms streaming on all platforms right now that are...
And then you also don't know if they're going to be good or not either, because there's so many.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is hard to like find them, locate them, wade through the other stuff.
A lot of them though, like, where are they being released? A lot of them are getting picked up by streaming services. So like the new Bridget Jones movie was released on Peacock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has big name people in it.
Right.
Hugh Grant was still in it, and so
and Renee Zellweger. Yeah.
Oh, or like, did you see Palm Springs?
No,
that was a Hulu one, but it has Andy Samberg.
Okay.
In it. But so Palm Springs, that one I really enjoyed that one a lot, but I just randomly found it because it was just on Hulu.
See, I think this is the other thing that maybe is difficult about the whole streaming environment today too, is like when I go on to like one of the apps that we subscribe to, it is very easy to just go directly to the shows that you've already been watching, or to like browse through some of the categories. And then there's so much stuff and so many TV shows which have multiple episodes and multiple seasons that finding and narrowing down to like a single good movie in a particular genre is actually kind of difficult to do, even just from a browsing perspective.
And that's actually another reason why we aren't seeing as many rom-com films, is because there's been a shift where now people don't want to just see the two love interests get together. They want to see the evolution of the whole relationship. And so it's become more popular to have a rom-com TV show.
Or like a mini series kind of thing.
Yes, than a rom-com movie. So like the TV show that just came out, Nobody Wants This.
Yeah.
Is a rom-com, but a TV show. Or like Emily in Paris or One Day. They made that into a TV show. So Netflix has become a top producer of rom-coms. I don't know if you've seen any of the recent Lindsay Lohan ones that Netflix
I've seen previews
made recently.
Yeah.
So they make films, but they are just making a lot of rom-com TV shows. So here's my hopeful note. I think it's not that rom-coms have disappeared, because obviously these tropes have endured for centuries, thousands of years.
Right.
But it's that it's continuing to evolve as a genre. And so you can find the same feelings that are being evoked by a rom-com in something that looks more like a TV show or a different style of movie.
Well, I hope we see a resurgence of the rom-coms that I'm nostalgic for. Or perhaps I just need to go back and go back and just watch those like the old person that I am and make the comment about like they used to make these great
Isn't
movies.
That what Hallmark Christmas movies are for, Katie?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess. But you know what? There is something a little bit different about those where it's like almost too formulaic. I like a little bit of formula, but not like over and over and over again.
Also, the Hallmark ones are not always coms.
Yeah, that's true. There's like a lot of drama, contrived drama.
Right. There are some classics that are rom-coms. Holiday in Handcuffs, one of my family's favorites. Melissa Joan Hart. But
man, I love a Christmas rom-com. That should be a whole separate genre. Like The Holiday.
Oh, I love The Holiday. Actually, I was thinking of The Holiday when you were talking about the trope of Richie guy, but then she falls for the witty, not as posh person. Yes. And I was like, that's the Jack Black story.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's true. The Holiday. What's the other one? Oh,
Four Christmases.
Yes, that's the other one I was thinking. Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn.
There is a separate genre of
holiday romance.
Specific holiday rom-coms.
Yeah.
Is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a bromance?
It could be. I think
bromance film?
Yes. I think that could be a bromantic comedy.
It feels like a little hangover-y.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, especially with like the kind of the absurdity of it, and then Yep.
But that's like a holiday bromance.
Yeah. We've got all sorts of subgenres that are just popping up here the more I think about it. Well, I think what we've established here is romantic comedies are awesome. They don't suck. Give them a chance. If you have a preformed opinion about what a romantic comedy is, like, give it a chance and enjoy it for what it is, but then also take note of all of these tropes and these thematic elements that have literally survived since the time of ancient Greek drama. People have always enjoyed these kinds of stories.
Exactly. Next time you're watching a rom-com, think about the history that went into the creation of these tropes and even the poop jokes.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to Researching the Obvious. To learn more fun facts about everything that we're researching, follow us on Instagram at Researching the Obvious Pod, all one word. You can also follow us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you know someone that you think would enjoy listening to all of our findings, please feel free to share or give us a review. Researching the Obvious is written, produced, edited, and hosted by Emily Fekete and Katie Nakanishi. Tune in next time to hear more obvious facts.